Hi folks, and welcome back to the plot. It is a gorgeous, absolutely glorious Saturday morning, and it was such a nice day yesterday as well, but unfortunately I was away from the allotment, so I've had one day off, which is good because I was starting to flag a little bit. I've been having a fantastic time this week off, but it's been the opposite of restful. Absolutely boatloads on the to-do list today, but first a little update in the greenhouse. I have to apologise up front as well and say I'm so sorry. In my last video I was teasing, showing you something in the greenhouse, and then I got stuck into the jobs and I completely forgot. Hopefully I remembered to put a little apology comment. I genuinely felt really awful. After I finished editing and putting it all up, I was like, no, that was mean. But that thing is under here, where we've had the first tomato germination. Oh, I was so excited. Unfortunately, it's the spoon tomato, which I've heard really mixed things about in the comments. Some people were not a fan of that one, but we do also have this one, the F1, the Apero, meant to be the best tasting cherry on the market. We're going to find out, but just so exciting. Looks like maybe it could do with a little water in here, but it's just been so kind of dank and grey since I sowed most of my seeds that it's really no surprise on most of them. We've had, there's a black strawberry. Look at that, it's just come up. 2 of them, I hadn't seen that. Oh, yes. Yes, exciting. First tomatoes are up. Oh, I love it. So the propagators are going to stay on for that little bit of heat and moisture retention at this time of year. We've got a few other things just starting to poke up down here. Some of the gourmet salads just starting to germinate. On this tray, we've got some more of the saladin starting. None of the Web's Wonderful or red salad bowl yet, but I haven't sowed the new seed. I have brought those up today. No flowers, no new flowers. Not many new spring onions, so it's still kind of ticking over in here. Not much is moving. Oh, we do have a few of the aubergines have come up. That is quite cool to see, but there's still quite a few things under here. The chili's not germinating, no sunflowers or anything like that. And that's just no surprise because it just won't have been getting up to temperature in here just yet. Oh, this is surprising. I think I can see some movement in here. Yeah, the delicate peas. I had a few comments saying that this was a lovely one. And these are really old seeds, so I'm surprised that these have germinated before most of my others. A few in the guttering in the polytunnel have just started. My sweet peas, these have not started just yet, and nor have the calendula. But patience, patience. Anyway, what is all the other stuff I have to show you? We've arrived absolutely laden today. Loads and loads of stuff. The most dramatic of which, just over my shoulder here. We'll talk about that. And I say we because Jess is with me. She's currently chilling or warming up in the polytunnel. But just loads and loads of stuff. I've got bags and bags. Quite exciting. I bought some new hanging baskets for strawberries in the polytunnel, and we've got loads of other stuff in here as well. More potatoes, which are now in a lot of places on sale in garden centres. These were just 50p a bag, whereas they used to be £2. Very good. We've got a little card from Audrey, Real Food Comes Dirty, who sent a load of seeds, which have gone everywhere. Let me just grab them all and I can show you a bit easier. Grown Local really kindly sent me some of his own tomato seeds, which I'm really excited to get sowing. There's a few tomatoes I need to do. There's a Lucky Dip, the Alice's Dream, which Jessie was saying is absolutely amazing, one of her favourite tasting tomatoes, and Lithium Sunset, which looks fantastic. I think these are from Tomato Revolutions. And I've done the Premier Seeds Direct order, so I've got some more salads, beetroot. I finally found some golden beetroot seed, yes. Some fresh parsnip seeds for the parsnips this year. Just a few little gaps that I had in my seed packets, and my garden centre purchase, which I couldn't quite resist, the small carrots. If I can get these to germinate, they grow quite well, but whether or not we'll get germination, we'll find out. We've got this, which is very, do you remember when I built this staging and I was like, this is going to become a working area very quickly and get very messy. But look, there's still space for me to fill up. But yes, this. I've done a little investment here. Got the Q4 mycorrhizal fungi, and it's open already because we've siphoned some of this off, left some at home for when we're potting up. But I do wonder if this is what has made the difference with my chili peppers this year. It's the first time I've used it, and I think my natural feeling is that it's going to work with silver grow quite well because it's a wood-based product. Next to that, you can see a pile of new container-wise goodies. Absolutely nothing better than when one of these arrives. And I just got quite a few gaps over here on the seed trays that could be filled by container-wise trays, and for the polytunnel as well. I do wonder where these things go, you know. I always feel like I've got enough, and then then you don't, do you? It just happens. You start filling up any space you've got. So that is very exciting. Now let's talk about these peppers, shall we? I'm going to send Audrey a picture of this in a minute, and she's going to have absolute conniptions because, let's cut to the chase, it's too early to bring these out into an unheated greenhouse. We're not even into April just yet. But these ones are really annoying. These are the troublemakers at home. See how they're all extremely tall? Look, this one's flopped over already. It's a bit pathetic. And what is that one? Yeah, that's one of the Sugar Rush Long Peach. They are a bit flimsy like that. But the main issue with these is they've outgrown my lights. So these are just being lit at the moment by those little blue lights that I've got, and they kind of come down to about here. So they're only getting light on their bottom leaves. They're all looking a bit frail, a bit rubbish, and if there's any that are going to be a potential sacrifice, it's these. The varieties, we've got Havana Gold, the Thunder Mountain Longhorn, the Champion. Oh, no surprise, right? Champion, one of my favourite peppers of last year, quite a mild chilli. And I said last year it grows like a champion as well. And look, it is out competing all the rest. I think this is from my own saved seed. Gave this out to quite a few people. And look, it speaks for itself. I love this chili pepper. And we've just got another Havana Gold at the back there. So all things considered though, I am quietly hopeful for these guys. I will probably do a specific video on this at some point, but we do have a lot of cloudy days forecast, which is great for hardening off your peppers. Quite sunny today, but it's gonna kind of cloud over. If it's too sunny, they can get a bit of sunburn, but if they harden off with a bit of cloud over time, that is ideal. And our 2-week forecast actually looks so mild on the south coast, and looking forward into the kind of future forecast, it's also meant to be quite mild. Our lows forecast at the moment are 9 degrees. Ideally, you don't want them to go under 10, but 9 degrees is pretty bloody good for this time of year. So I thought, you know what, let's get them out. Anyway, time to move on to other things. I do just want to note though, auto vent working very, very nicely. It is very warm in the greenhouse, but it is so nice to have a day on the allotment where I haven't had to bring up my coat. So today's main task, over here, I want to put up the sweet pea bed. There's going to be a trellis at the back. This is Steve's sweet pea frame that he built himself. And I thought this is kind of an unused area, part of the mini orchard with the cherries and the apples. And I've sort of been trying to create a bit of a wildflower area, but I'm more than happy giving over a little bit of space to flowers. So the idea is the bed is going to be this side of this pole, which is, it looks like it's on its way out, so I'm going to put the bed on that side of it. I'm going to have a little seating area here eventually, one day, and then we'll have some nice supports going up. But I'm going to take a little moment to sort through all this timber, because I've got a few spare scaffolding boards which I could use, or I've got these old timber sleepers, which I think are going to be a good candidate for using on here. It's not going to be super big. I just kind of want to have probably, I don't know, maybe a row of sweet peas. Yeah, 1 row of sweet peas. I was wondering if you do it at the front and back, but for something like this, I think just 1 row, so it doesn't need to actually be too deep. Yeah, I'm gonna take a little bit of time figuring this out. a good few hours later, and it's finally starting to come together. It was a massive headache trying to figure out exactly how to do this. Thankfully, the bed itself was easy. I found a couple of nice pits for the side, which just fit perfectly, just some offcuts from the various timber projects. Jess and I, you can see Jess is still beavering away, diligently working as ever, while I just chat to the camera. Getting these lined was an absolute nightmare. It's a real puzzle, trying to line them neatly so that there's not like loads of plastic coming out the bottom and that kind of thing. We've gone for half lined on top and then fully lined on bottom. So rain is still going to hit this and potentially fall down and get kind of trapped by the layer there, which I like to tend to avoid, but I think that is better than it sitting on the wet ground and just slowly sucking moisture out of the clay soil. So Jess is just lining the last piece there. We've got loads of cardboard down for wetting it, and the real tricky puzzle was what to do with the actual timber, you know, the trellis. It was an absolute nightmare. A lot of it was quite damaged, and some of those uprights were quite rotten as well. You know, Cumbria where Steve lived was just so wet, so it's not a surprise. And Steve had buried these in the ground, like, you know, had dug them halfway to Australia. They were in so deep. So when we first stood them up, they were like, I don't know, maybe a good, how tall do you reckon they were? Like at least 9 foot, 10? Yeah, 10 foot? 9 or 10 foot, they were massive. And so I've trimmed out the rotten bits. I've trimmed out a lot of the damaged trellis. Unfortunately, it was put together so strongly. We did damage some of the welds, but we've got a bit of a, we spent ages trying to get it to run the full length, but these things are stapled in and they're not coming out. So what we've decided to do is just have a little bit of space either side for some other flowers and just have the trellis up in the middle. It's very lucky that it's such a gorgeous day because this has been quite testing, but we're getting there. We are getting there. So we've got it upright in roughly the final position. There is a slight issue that the bed itself leans back, so it's not going to be fully square, but we can kind of deal with that, I think. But just this anchored into the bed should, like the one of these I made at home, it should be just fine. This bed, I've just tried to lift it, it's very heavy. So once this is fully screwed into the bed, I think it should be okay. Steve had this, like I say, dug fully into the ground, but then not anchored to a bed. So we're doing it slightly differently, but I think it'll hold. How's it look? Cute. Maybe we should have stretched it out a bit more. It's a bit kinky, but I think that's just because it's been travelled all the way from Cumbria, so it's going to be a little imperfect.
I thought you were going to put some in the front.
Yeah, the whole bed is moving though, is the issue. I'm wondering,
Yeah,
well, the concern is in a really high wind, whether or not this is going to catch the wind enough to...
Maybe not when it's like full of compost.
I think what I will do is just pop something in the front or the sides into the ground and then screw that into the bed, just as an extra anchor. The chances of this getting tipped up seem quite low, but I'd rather not take the risk. It's come together so nicely, but yes, I definitely do not trust this in the wind. I think there's a good chance it could all fall over, even with the weight of the sleepers. When you've got stuff on this, it becomes like a sail and it's already quite top heavy. So I've been looking around, you know when you know you've got something somewhere, and in the depths of the shed, I found them. These like sleeper anchors, pretty good. Not amazing, but I think for this, they will pretty much do the job. 4 screws in these with some washers, and they're about, I don't know, maybe 40 centimeters into the ground. Probably not quite as good as that uni strut that I was using on the beds the other day, but 3 of these on the back, which is the bit which really catches the wind, I think will be good. There is as well just a few little staples that need to knock in to tidy up a bit of the lattice work, but I'm really pleased with this. I think it's coming together quite nicely. We've got loads of really thick cardboard in here, so quite a lot of grass around. It might come through eventually, but I'm going to get some manure on here and then just kind of plant through it into the stuff. I did actually grow a small selection of sweet peas just in this corner last year, and they grew quite well. So I've got no concerns about the soil underneath or anything like that. Possibly the biggest issue, and actually the biggest mistake I've made, is not leveling the ground properly first. You can see how uneven the ground is here. So yeah, I don't think it's the end of the world, but it might have made life a little bit easier. There must be a real high point somewhere, but I can't quite figure out where it is. Probably going to get some wood chip and just kind of fill around in some of the gaps or holes. Hopefully that'll help a bit. There we go. Just going to get some wood chip, sort this out, and then screw the base in to the ground. Ooh. Now, obviously, it's just the end of March, so I would never dream, I wouldn't even think about saying that it's too hot, but it is blooming warm. I think I'm just extremely warm because I've been going in and out of the tunnel and the greenhouses an awful lot, and they are warming up. It's over 30 in the tunnel today with both doors wide open. It's so nice. I am really enjoying it, but it's been a bit of a mission today, and oof, it's taken a long time. We've been up here a good 4 hours, maybe coming up to 5, but we wanted to do it justice, and it's looking pretty good. I do need to just trim that little bit of plastic, just tidy that up a little bit, but it's had a nice little bit of wood chip, and hopefully that'll just kind of suppress the grass, suppress the weeds. But one of the nice things about sleepers is that, you know, if you're strimming up against them, it's no bother. You're not really going to damage them. I've put in these little sleeper brackets, so it's about 10 times sturdier now, and as well I found these little corner brackets as well, so it's screwed in multiple times, multiple places. We've got some of these hex head screws, the super long ones, in the back and the front of the uprights as well, and if you give it a shove, it is now rock solid. If I do see any more uni strut going spare, I will probably knock that into the front and get that a little bit deeper. But I'm really looking forward now to having this as like a full-on seating area. There's a really nice cherry tree next door, just up here, which obviously isn't in leaf yet. It's just coming into bud like mine. But hopefully that'll give us a nice bit of shade in the hottest part of the day. And this will be quite a nice place to sit, especially once the sweet peas have started flowering and doing their thing. God, it's gorgeous today. Jess went home a little while ago, so I'm now left to my own devices. And actually, what was on the to-do list today was the hanging baskets for the strawberries, but it's way too hot in the polytunnel, so I'm not doing that. And the other thing on the to-do list was a good strim. I forgot to bring the strimmer because I thought that was on tomorrow's to-do list. Not very organised, but, you know, it's not like I'm not going to be able to find anything to do. And I think what I will do is start on this L-bed, no-dig bed. So, I wonder if you're wondering what on earth is going on here. There are gaps all over this no-dig bed, and this isn't really the way to do it, but I think this is the way forward for me. What I've learned, this compost centre horse manure is fantastic. Well-rotted horse manure, really, really fantastic for just like loads and loads of reasons. It seems to sort of dry out and get a weird crust on top, which stops all the slugs. It's fantastic for water retention. It's completely weed-free. And the other thing is that weed seed and seeds in general do not like to germinate in this. That one is a mixed bag. You know, that's partly good, partly bad, because it means you can't really grow into it. But the other thing that I learned about this last year and I learned this the hard way, is that my transplants don't love it either. Everything that I transplanted into this stuff, the onions, the salads, they did not look okay until they got their roots down past this horse manure mulch and into the actual soil. So the idea here is that I've just gone super light. I mean, 2 bags, it's pretty cheap stuff, you know, comparatively. And this, there's bits of cardboard showing through. The idea is this is just really the no-dig mulch. It's for weed suppression. It's for getting rid of all that couch grass that you've seen, and maybe a little bit of bindweed too. And when it comes to plant out into this, I will go through the cardboard, which I've wetted really nicely. We've got lots of wet weather, so I'm not too worried about this not breaking down. And then we'll plant through the cardboard, you know, right down, either dib through it or get a bulb planter or something to go through into the soil underneath. That's the other reason that I went through this with a bit more of a fine-tooth comb. You know, if you were doing this in kind of January, February, you can leave a lot of the green material to degrade and decay, whereas it's all going to be a bit more raw in here. We're going to be planting into this quite soon. No idea what's going to be coming into here, maybe peas. Although I've done peas in here before and they didn't do great. Definitely this one is the later season for squashes and courgettes and that kind of stuff, because it's a nice big bed and things can really spread out. There's loads and loads of space. I've got rid of all the netting that used to be up the back. It was just kind of useless, really. So this is just basically the start of a new bed. This layer is more of a mulch than a no-dig bed that you would grow into. You know, if you're doing proper no-dig, I think you need more compost, less well-rotted manure, and you need a much bigger depth. Obviously, I'm just going to be going underneath this, but very, very pleased to have it done. It's another job to tick off the list. And with this done, I'm going to get cracking on some of the other random, just little jobs around the plot. A bit more of tidying because I don't have the strimmer, and I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really, really good, folks. Feeling fantastic. I just love tidying up. I mean, that video that I did the other day in the rain tidying up, I was actually quite pleasantly surprised by the response. Lots of other people just sympathising, knowing that feeling. And I would say that the plot is on its way to maybe 90% tidy. I think the strimming and the mowing is going to make the biggest difference, but this week off, so much progress. Like, the plot is going to be unrecognizable. The big challenge ahead of me tomorrow is like 12 beds. I've got 12 beds to prep. Some of them basically fine already, basically no work, but a lot of work ahead of me. I am adoring this little area with the spring bulbs. Big shout out, big thank you to my parents who put these in. One of those little things that's made such a difference. The cowslips look incredible as well. I think 2021 I planted those, and this year they finally come through and they look so, so good. Gorgeous with the light today, just fantastic. Greenhouse is done pretty much. Polytunnel done pretty much. Oh, it's like, oh, it's really like, oh, feels good here, you know, feels really, really good. I've got a big old pile of stuff to take home today. Rescuing a water butt for home as well that we're going to put in, just loads of random tools and stuff to go home. A little bit of the mesh as well. You saw me going through some of that mesh. It is a bit of a shame that I wasn't able to kind of preserve the whole thing intact, but just one of those things, you know, all things considered. I would like to think that Steve would be very, very pleased to see it put to good use with a new, slightly scaled down sweet pea bed, but I've also got a helicopter flying over. No, not that. A few offcuts down here that I've salvaged that I'm going to offer to Elmo. I think that's nice. Steve definitely wouldn't mind. He was always for helping out his plot neighbours, and Elmo has helped me lots and lots. He's the guy who gave me the Unistrut the other day, and the other bits over here There's a couple of really nice sized, just little bits. This stuff is so strong, it's so robust. And this I'm going to take home for bulb protection from the squirrels. So this, Jess has got her eyes on this, and we're going to be doing some squirrel proofing in the back garden. I would love it if there was time this week to do a little back garden tour as well. Oh, into the shade. That's nice. But yeah, doing a little back garden tour because it's just starting to come into its own in spring. It's starting to look really nice. Still a bit of a blank slate, still a lot of work to do, but Jess has been on the flowers this year as well, so we're having a very good time in that regard. It's all coming together, you know, it really, I've got goosebumps. I've actually got goosebumps. I'm just gonna go in the greenhouse. The warmth of a greenhouse or a polytunnel just, it can't be beaten. I've got all these seeds that I showed you at the start of today's episode to sow as well. I'm feeling quite emotional, you know, it's been like a bit of a race this week, you know, I felt like I really want to get so much stuff done so that I can get cracking with the growing season, and I've got all my seedlings on the go, you know, they're just starting to pop. It's all, like I say, it just feels like it's coming together. I'm relieved, you know, I'm feeling like a relief. I think that's really the overwhelming emotion. I really hope you've enjoyed seeing Steve's sweet pea frame kind of resurrected, you know, put to use on my plot. The polytunnel and the frame together, I think is really quite nice. Thank you once again for all the kind comments on the polytunnel video and the sign. That was really just flipping overwhelming. That was amazing. So yeah, thank you ever so much for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you again next time. An extra special thank you to all of my Chili Pepper Tier patrons: Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Mel, Michael, Denise, Socks in the Garden, Andrew, Sarah, and the new person, there's a new one, I've forgotten your name, Angela. That's you. Thank you ever so much, new patron, Angela. Hopefully I'll see you again next time. I already said that, but it bears repeating.